Alright, hello again, you guys. So today we're going to be going over a different type of problem. So we're given this fraction here with a complex number both on top and on the bottom. And we're asked to write this fraction in standard form. So standard form, we got to remember for a complex number, it's different from standard form for a real number when we have equations with x's and y's. Standard form for a complex number, we write it as a plus bi. So we have a constant in front and then plus, minus, whatever it is, the number, and then I. So looking at this fraction right here, there is no easy way just to eyeball this and be like, oh yeah, that's how we do it. That's standard form. Since we have two things on the top, two things on the bottom. So we're gonna have to work some magic here. And the magic here is the complex conjugate. So complex conjugate, this right here, scary word, right? We hear conjugate, whoa, what is that? Sounds scary, sounds difficult. It's so trivial. I would hope a kindergartner could figure out the complex conjugate. Because all it is you're taking your complex number, and to find the conjugate of that number, you're just looking at whatever sign is in the middle, and you're flipping that sign. So if you had a minus in the middle, it's going to become a plus. If you have a plus in the middle, it's going to become a minus. So what we're doing to solve these problems is we are, so let's rewrite this, 4 plus 3i over 2 minus 2i. We're taking that fraction and we're multiplying, so we're going to be multiplying both the top and the bottom of this fraction by the complex conjugate of whatever's on the bottom, of the complex number that's on the bottom. So the complex number on the bottom is 2 minus 2i. And that's written in standard form. We have 2 minus 2i. That's the standard form for this one. So how do we find the conjugate of that? We just flip this sign in the middle. So the conjugate is going to be 2 plus 2i. So what do we do with that? We multiply both the top and the bottom of our fraction by that complex conjugate. So now we're left with this. And if you're thinking about math classes before, math problems before, it wouldn't make a ton of sense to do this because we're thinking about x's. When we multiply two things with x's in them, it's just going to get even bigger. We're just going to get a bigger x, and it's not going to simplify this into an easier form. But you got to remember with imaginary numbers, with i's, when we multiply two i's together, they actually remain small. It becomes a negative. If you do I times I, that just equals -1. So you're going to see how that magic works here in a bit. So let's multiply these two together. Let's start with the top. So let's start with 4 plus 3i times 2 plus 2i. If you want to FOIL this out, some other method you like to use to multiply two things out, please do that. I like to make a box. And I like to put this on top, so 4 and 3i. And the second thing we're multiplying, I like to put that on the side. So 2 and 2i. And now we're just filling in these 4 boxes. So 4 times 2, that just becomes 8. And we're multiplying here. So 2 times 3i, that's 6i. 4 times 2i, that's just 8i. What about 2i times 3i? I think we should all be able to see that 2i times 3i, that just equals 6i squared. 6i to the power 2. But we can't stop there. We can't put 6i to the power 2 in here because we know, because we're such experts at complex numbers, that I to the power 2, that's not just I to the power 2. I to the power 2 equals -1. So we can write this as just an integer. So we can write it as 6 times -1, which just equals -6. So it actually goes in this box here. It's not 6i squared. It is the number -6. So we pull everything out now from this box and we simplify. So we have 8 plus 6i plus 8i minus 6. We combine like terms, so we have 8 and negative 6, that just equals 2. We have 6i, 8i, we combine those, that becomes 14i. So now, this big thing right here, on top, we know that 4 plus 3i times 2 plus 2i, that equals 2 plus 14i. So on top of our fraction, we have 2 plus 14i. Now we gotta figure out what goes on the bottom. So we're gonna use a red marker now to multiply the bottom of our fraction. And this is where the real magic happens. So we have 2 minus 2i, 2 plus 2i, so we're doing the same thing. 2 minus 2i, 2 plus 2i, yeah. And we're multiplying them. So we have 4 in this box. 2 times negative 2i, that's just negative 4i. 2 times 2i is positive 4i. And then, let's see, negative 2i times 2i. So negative 2i times 2i, that just equals negative 4i to the power of 2, which just equals, since we know I squared equals negative 1, it just equals negative 4 times negative 1, which just equals positive 4. So in this box down here, we have positive 4. So let's pull everything out again. So we have 4 minus 4i plus 4i plus 4. If we combine all that together, 4 plus 4, we have 8. And then negative 4i plus positive 4i, wait, those cancel out. That's weird. If we have negative 4i and plus 4i, those just cancel out. So what happened to our I on the bottom? It's gone. Is that a coincidence? What's going on? And that is the whole point of this. That's why we do the complex conjugate. Is this should happen every single time. When you're multiplying out what's on the bottom, your i's should disappear. So you see here, we're just left with 8 now. So on the bottom of our fraction, we have an 8. So when I was multiplying out the top, this times this, we're like, wait, what's going on? Why did he do that? He just went from 4 plus 3i to 2 plus 14i. That doesn't get us anywhere. But now you can see that when I multiply these two things on the bottom, we went from having 2 things to now just having 1. And now we should easily be able to write this in standard form, since we could just split this into 2 fractions. One that is a number and one that is has an I in it. So if we split this up into 2 fractions, we have 2 over 8 plus 14 over 8i. Now that is standard form. We have a plus bi. We can simplify this a little. So this actually is 1 over 4 plus 7 over 4i. And now that, ladies and gentlemen, is our final answer. We went from big scary fraction to a complex number in standard form, just like that. I know it's a lot of steps. I know those of you who just skipped from the start of the video to the end of the video and see all this work up here, your mind's blown. Whoa, what's going on? That's way too much work. These are all pretty trivial operations that you guys have been doing since middle school, hopefully. The one new thing we're adding is the complex conjugate. And that's not too difficult, I don't think. So the only real new thing you're learning here is that for the conjugate, you just flip the sign in the middle. You make a negative a plus, you make a plus a negative. That's it. So just try to slow down on these problems. Don't let all the work, don't let these boxes get in your head. If you're used to following them out when you were younger, do that. Do whatever you gotta do. I feel like most of you guys should be pretty comfortable multiplying 2 things with each other. And that's all I got for you today.